Welcome to the boiler room. If you found a hole in the wall, would you look? If through that hole you saw your neighbour, would you stop? If you witnessed their murder, would you come forward? Let's enter the boiler room.
When I was a young man, having just started college in the big city, I didn't have much money, so the only place I could afford to rent was in an old, run-down apartment building that was in a bad part of town. Once I moved in, I found that the apartment was in a bad state of repair. The floor was dusty and stained, the furniture was falling apart, and the wallpaper was peeling off the walls. After unpacking my belongings, I decided to try and tidy up the place a little. As I was tearing off a piece of peeling wallpaper, I happened to uncover a small hole in the wall. Being curious, I decided to peek through the hole. I discovered that I could see into my neighbor's apartment next door. There was nobody home, so I just plugged up the hole with some tissue paper and set about dusting and cleaning the place. The next evening, when I came home from college, I got into the elevator and a beautiful woman stepped in after me. As we ascended, I couldn't take my eyes off the young woman's. She was stunning with shapely legs and generous curves. The elevator stopped on my floor and I got out. Hearing footsteps behind me, I was surprised to see the woman was following. I walked down the corridor, and when I reached my apartment, I looked over my shoulder. The young woman was opening the door of the apartment next to mine. I realized that she must be my neighbor. Once inside my apartment, I just couldn't stop thinking about the beautiful woman next door. Unable to resist the temptation, I decided to take a peep through the hole in the wall. I know, but tell me you wouldn't do the same. When I put my eye up to the hole and peeked in, I had a perfect view of the entire apartment, and I was shocked when I saw the woman start taking off her clothes and preparing to take a shower. The woman apparently wasn't aware of the peephole, so I kept quiet and watched her undress. I couldn't believe my luck and was disappointed when she turned off the lights and went to bed. In the middle of the night, I woke up to the sound of groaning coming from the apartment next door. I wondered what it was and decided to look through the hole in the wall. I was horrified by what he saw. There was a tall man standing over the young woman. He held a long, thin knife in his hand and kept stabbing her over and over. The young woman was groaning in pain and lay in a pool of blood. I was so shocked by the scene that he couldn't move a muscle. My knees felt weak and my stomach churned. Before I even had a chance to think, the tall man delivered one last blow and the groans ceased. The woman was dead. The murderer grabbed some things and made his way out of the apartment. As he was closing the apartment door behind him, the killer turned, and I got a good look at his face. He had a thin nose, a dark beard, and a long scar on the side of his cheek. He would be easy to identify. I ran into his bedroom and grabbed my mobile phone. I was about to call the police. I swear it, when I suddenly stopped in my tracks. I held the phone in my trembling hands as my mind began to race. If I reported this to the police, they would find out that I had been spying on the woman through the hole in the wall. My neighbors would find out about it. My friends and family would find out. What would they say? What would they think of me? I would be embarrassed beyond belief. Slowly, I placed the phone on my bedside table and sat down. I'm ashamed to say, I never called the police. The next evening, when I returned from college, the police were waiting at my door. They told me that my next-door neighbor had been murdered during the night and said they needed to ask me some questions. I tried to keep them talking in the corridor, but they invited themselves into my apartment. Sitting at the kitchen table, the policeman asked me if I had seen or heard anything unusual the night before. I began to sweat profusely. I told them I had gone to bed early and must have slept through the whole thing. They asked me a few more questions, but I denied knowing anything about the murder. Just then, one of the policemen noticed the hole in the wall. He got up from the table and peered through it. "Are you sure you didn't see anything?" he asked suspiciously. "I just moved into this apartment 2 days ago," I said. I could hear my voice shaking. "I didn't even realize there was a hole in the wall. I swear to you, I didn't see or hear anything. If I did, I would tell you." The policemen eventually grew tired of questioning me, and as they said their goodbyes and left, it seemed as if they believed my story. I couldn't forget having witnessed the terrible murder, but the guilt of not reporting it to the police quickly evaporated, and I tried to get on with his life. A week passed, and I gradually stopped thinking about the murder. I blocked up the hole in the wall with paper, not wanting to be reminded of the terrible crime.
Disturbing, weird, freaky? We want to know about it. Head over to talesfromtheboilerroom.com and submit your stories.